What's going on today, everybody? I'm getting a little bit of a late start on the day, but I've actually got a lot of work done prior to filming, so it will make it kind of a quicker go. I'm chasing down this oil leak on the STI, and I'm pretty sure I found out where it's coming from. This bottom passenger cam, the seal is, I'm pretty sure, the problem. So I've already gone through, I've removed the radiator fans, I've removed the air box, I've removed a whole bunch to try to diagnose where the heck this leak's coming from, and I'm pretty sure it's the seal. I've got the seal out. I'm going to replace it. Again, I don't know why this is a Subaru thing. It does not make sense to me at all. But the seal cannot go all the way back. It plugs one of the ports. I've done Chevys, I've done a couple Ford engines. You push the seal all the way in, all the way to the end. That way it makes sure that it's not in there kind of cockeyed or what have you. Because it will push on the back, and that back will give it the proper alignment. For some reason, Subaru has to be difficult and puts a port right at the end of it. So the same thing that happened on the rear main seal is happening now on the front cam. I've only got one of them that's leaking, but I'm this far in it. If it's a problem on one, it's going to eventually be a problem on all four. So I ordered 4 new seals, and I managed to rip the stretch belt while I was taking it off. Got new belts, got new seals. Yeah, let's dive into this. So here we go. I've already got the covers off, all the parts over here. We've got outer covers, we've got air intake box, we've got stretch belts that I managed to. It doesn't look bad at all, but if you look at it real close, it's got a crack or a rip in one of the teeth. So ordered new belts, air intake stuff, that's Cobb SF intake, the box. Now this is the important part. So this is the passenger inner cover, I guess it'd be. So this cover sits right there on the engine, and it's got oil on the bottom of it, but not on the top. You notice how there's no oil coming out of this seal? Well, if we take this out now, we can look and see that there's only oil right here on this bottom. It's actually coming around this side and allowing it to set on the bottom right there. So no oil past this part, so that means it's not on the uphill side coming down this track, and there's no oil going up this way, so that means that there's no oil coming down this way. And since I've got only oil on the bottom here and none on the top, that centralizes it to right here. That's my leak. It's right in this area. The only thing that's right there is my cam seal. Here's the backside. You can tell a lot more from the backside. You can see where the oil kind of starts on each side. It has to be that cam seal. That has to be my problem. It's actually leaking down and coming around. It's causing problems for me. While we got everything going, we'll go ahead and replace all the cam seals, all 4 of them. We'll have them out, and it'll just be done. Have to get my bracket back out that I made. I'm glad I didn't throw it away, and I'm glad that I made it, because these, I managed to actually put them on tighter than they were before. So I've got one of them off. I'm going to break the other ones free and take that side of the cam stuff off. I'm going to go pick up an adapter. There's a PVC adapter. I'll show you it, that you can use for these. Now I don't have much room, which sucks, because I'm trying to keep the engine in the bay this time, because I don't want to drain the coolant and take all that stuff out. So I might try to do it. I don't know. We'll see how well it goes for me, because there's not much room for a hammer to fit in there. But anyways, we'll get all 4 of those changed. We'll get the cams set back up. We'll set our timing, and the car should be ready to go again. I didn't change anything else on it. Yeah, so we'll get to work. So I've got my adapter on here, and I've actually got these popped loose, and they're ready to come off. So I don't want to take too much tension off the bolts before I take these ones out. So I want to take these out to take because it's warped. You can kind of see it gives a little bit of warping in it. So I don't have this one very tight. These two are tight, and then these top two down here, these two are tight, and these two are tight. This one's just snugging it up to have the plate not twist on me. I'm not using the torsional for like trying to pull it this way. I'm using the torsional to try to break this free. So I'm relying on the bolts to push on the aluminum in this direction. Well, technically it's in a circle, but in this direction instead of trying to pull it out. So I don't need the force pushing it in. I need the force keeping it from moving around sideways. So we'll take these off and get these bolts out and pull these off and see if one of these is leaking. There we go. So this one seems to be the best fit for everything, and it's $1.50. Here's what so it gives me a good inner and outer clearances on everything to fit the cam, because the cam shaft has to fit there. So here's the setup that I'm using. I've got my new seal, I've got a little bit of oil, I got one of the cam bolts, a piece of flat plate that I put a hole in, and that piece that I just picked up. So I'll put this seal, actually in, put this on, and then put this through, and thread it in, and the threads will push it in. And I'll show you what that looks like here in a second. But first we want to put oil on the inside lip and the outside lip of this seal so nothing snags when we go to put it in. We have to clean out and make sure that there's no debris left in where the seal's gonna go on both sides. That'll be good. There we go, got them all hammered in, and I feel comfortable with where they're at. So I'm actually putting it to this side, I'm putting it flush. Before, you can see there's a chamfer on this side. Well, there's one on this side too, and I put this seal almost all the way to past the bottom of this chamfer. So I'm actually sticking it out a little bit further out this way more and not bottoming out. was reading online, there's not a lot of information on it, but everybody says to leave it flush. Now, flush could mean either this one or this one. You can tell that there's a little bit of a difference, which doesn't help because there's two different sides here, but I'm going with this one because I'd rather have it in and more force holding the seal in rather than having it sticking out with this one and not having enough force holding it in. So I've got this whole side done. I'm going to get the other side done and get the cam gears back on. Here we go. All 4 seals are in. This one I got in a little bit more in than I would want to. It's not much. It's the smallest amount, but it is a little bit more in on this bottom side. But I matched it all the way around so it's in there flush, and this one turned out really good. So we got all 4 of them in. Now we'll get to the cam gears and then to the timing. Always clean the back sides of these because that's what will lead to the problem if it's not mated to the other part. So there's just 2 metal pieces. There's no gasket or anything that goes in between them. So always clean that up. And always remember, if you take off a shield, to put the shield on it. Almost put this cam gear on before I put this shield on. Luckily, I saw it laying down on the ground and put it on real quick. So, got the cam gears on. We're going to tighten them up a little bit and then put the belt on and set the timing on it. Got the timing back on, and I knew there was a reason I didn't throw this stupid thing away. This is the pin for the tensioner. So this goes in there and you pull it out. One thing to note though, I didn't realize this, but you cannot see those marks. Those marks have wore off now because it rides over this side, the flat side does. So all those marks are wore off. You can still kind of see them, but definitely mark these before you go to put this or take this off, because I almost had to order a new belt because I couldn't see those, and luckily I happened to see the one on for this main gear here was in the right spot, so I lucked out a little bit on it. While I'm setting my timing, I always run it over by hand a couple times just to double check. These motors are 0 clearance, so that means that there's 0 tolerance between the valves and the pistons. So always run it over by hand because you can feel if it's not going to go. And if you hit it with a starter, that starter is going to just crank right through your valves. So I've got that. I ran it through by hand. I ran the cam gears around twice. So this white mark, I just ran that white mark around twice to make sure that I've gone through the motor each cycle. So it will go around once for exhaust, once for intake. Make sure you do that. I do that, so I actually do it 4 times, twice. 2 cycles of each. That right? So there'll be 2 exhaust strokes and 2 intake strokes. Cool. That's together. I've tightened up the cam bolts again. Gave them a quick test to make sure that they're all in. And now we're putting the covers back on it. Get the covers back on, and then we can start putting all those other parts back together and start it up. There it is. Got the timing cover on, timing belt on, idler pulleys, tensioner pulleys, balancer on both sides. I've still got the air box to put in. I put the radiator back on. I've got the front bumper to get on in a minute, and a couple other little beauty pieces. I've got the 2 belts that I ordered still to put on, but I think that's going to do it for me. Well, that's gonna do it for me today. I'm gotta go get out of town, so I'm gonna start this back up when I get back into town. Everything should be ready to go. I just have to put a couple more pieces back together, the belts in, and then it should be ready to drive again. Cool. Well, that's gonna do it for me. Take it easy, everyone. Peace.